Join me now is Mike Davis. He's an attorney with the Article 3 Project. Good to see you, Mike. I don't know if you could provide a better example of conflict of interest. This is textbook, right?
Yeah, so this Democrat Manhattan judge, Juan Merchan, donated to Biden in 2020. He donated to another anti-Trump cause, which we just learned got him reprimanded by the New York judicial system. Instead of recusing from this Trump case, he's doubled down. His adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is a leading Democrat fundraiser and campaign consultant. She's raising millions of dollars off of this unprecedented criminal trial over which her father is presiding, requiring his recusal under New York statute. That's not just me saying this. A former federal Clinton judge from New York City went on Caitlin Collins' show on CNN on April 5th and said that this Judge Merchan needs to recuse because of his adult daughter, Lauren Merchan's fundraising activities. How did Judge Merchan respond? He expanded his illegal, unconstitutional gag order. So if President Trump or even his campaign mention Lauren Merchan's name or even post a news story mentioning Lauren Merchan's name, this judge has threatened to throw President Trump in jail.
You know, it's interesting, Mike, you and I were talking a little bit before we started the show. Even this case feels to me that it's falling apart a bit. And I was listening to Morning Joe this morning. I know you probably won't believe that, but I do watch them often because I want to see what they're saying. They've been covering this wall to wall. We haven't talked about it much, honestly. I have you and I have the former senior official at the DOJ, Katie Sullivan, after you, because we have largely ignored it. And I wanted to bring my viewers some real honest analysis of the trial and particularly the judge and the situation with his daughter. But I was listening to Morning Joe this morning, and they were absolutely about to cry about the fact that Americans don't care. They're not watching this trial. They're not interested in the least. I think that says a lot. So ultimately, what do you think happens here?
Unfortunately, I think this jury's going to find Trump guilty because it is such a rigged process. You have this corrupt judge, Juan Merchan, whose adult daughter's fundraising off this case. You have this Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, who campaigned on getting Trump. You have this senior Biden Justice Department official, Matthew Colangelo. He was the acting number 3 in the Biden Justice Department, who got deployed to Bragg's office to resurrect this zombie case long past the statute of limitations, where they're trying to say calling a legal expense is somehow a crime, and somehow that crime has transformed it into 34 felonies 7 years later. You have the star witnesses, Stormy Daniels, a porn star who's changed her story many times. She has a vendetta. She's raising money from her pinned porn site tweet on Twitter. You have Michael Cohen, a train wreck of a witness who embezzled from Trump. He's a convicted perjurer. He's a serial liar. He's a felon. He's a disbarred attorney, but yet Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen are Matthew Colangelo and Alvin Bragg's witness. But the problem is that you have a jury pool in Manhattan that voted 87% for Joe Biden, and then the judge and the prosecutors rigged the process by weeding out the 3 people in Manhattan who follow Trump on social media, but they didn't weed out anyone who follows Biden.
You mentioned Stormy Daniels, the porn star, and so this made me laugh. I have to pull this up since you name dropped her, because you, like me, are plagued with these ads, like X-rated kind of ads in your Twitter feed. So you posted this to Twitter saying that Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo forgot to call a witness and address that to Dear Judge Juan Merchan. That just absolutely cracked me up.
Yeah, I mean, look how trashy this trial is. This Judge Juan Merchan is saying that he wants decorum in his courtroom when Trump's witnesses are testifying. And then he lets Stormy Daniels come in and trash Trump with extremely irrelevant and extremely prejudicial testimony that should have led to a mistrial. But this judge is hell-bent on winning a criminal conviction against Trump here because his daughter stands to gain or lose a lot of money.
Yeah. I have a feeling she'll gain a lot of money, but then we'll see what happens on appeals. I want to move to another case that you've been talking about as well. This one in Georgia, the RICO case that has appeared. I talked to one of the attorneys representing one of the Trump co-defendants. They actually do not believe this case will go to trial before the election because of the problems plaguing Fani Willis. And you tweeted this. You said Big Fani Willis hired her dumb, unqualified married secret boyfriend, Nathan Wade. She used Fulton County and federal funds to pay him $250 per hour to total $700,000. She paid him to collude with the Biden White House twice before she indicted Trump and 18 others on her bogus and expensive RICO theory. She took illegal kickbacks, lavish trips around the world. She's a gray goose girl. Yeah, we found out about that. She tainted the jury pool by lying from the pulpit, in the name of Jesus, of course, from a black church and accusing a co-defendant of racism. She repeatedly perjured herself, and now she's sweating like a whore in church. Big Fani belongs in prison. It seems like this one is really breaking down. What do you make of the latest on that?
So this judge is this Kemp judge, Scott McAfee, should have disqualified the entire Fulton County DA's office because of this illegal conflict of interest that Fani Willis has. Big Fani can't. She can't get around that conflict of interest when she took illegal kickbacks in the form of these lavish trips from her boyfriend, to whom she paid $700,000 in Fulton County in federal funds. The Georgia appellate court is almost certainly going to disqualify the entire Fulton County DA's office. And then there's a Georgia State Commission that has to decide what to do with this case. This is a dog of a case. No one's going to want to touch it. I presume this case will get dismissed.
I think so too. I have a feeling that Fani will run back to church repenting, right? And pretending like she's totally changed and she's a different person. Now, I want to look forward, Mike, and I always appreciate your looking forward to the next Trump administration tweets because it causes so many people to absolutely lose their minds. Your latest on this is when the Trump 47 Justice Department opens a criminal probe on the Biden Democrats' criminal conspiracy against Trump. Andrew Weissman, that's a name we haven't heard in a while, should have valuable information for the grand jury. At least that's what his former Justice Department colleagues tell me. What are you alluding to here, Mike?
Well, I mean, I think Andrew Weissman has been one of the key architects of this illegal lawfare and election interference against President Trump, this criminal conspiracy, whether it was when he was the lead investigator on the bogus Russian collusion hoax, and now as an outside a lawyer who appears to be colluding with government officials to violate the civil rights of President Trump and his top aides like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon and his lawyers like Jeffrey Clark and John Eastman, January 6 defendants. There is a criminal conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights felony, up to 10 years in prison, 18 USC Section 241. President Trump's Justice Department must open a criminal probe on day one, and I think Andrew Weissman should be called to testify. And I would say that, as they like to say to us, nobody is above the law.
I think a lot of people would applaud Mike if that happened. Andrew Weissman has his treachery goes even beyond before the Trump years. He's been a bad actor for a very long time, looking to climb the ranks in D.C. and then ultimately he used the power he had garnered from the Enron and Arthur Anderson cases to curry favor and eventually go after Donald Trump. I mean, I would be thrilled to see Weissman have his day. But do you really think that officials in a Trump DOJ will actually do that?
I hope they do, and I'm going to be encouraging that. And I would say this: that look, what Biden and these Democrats have done to Trump and his supporters, these are Republic-ending tactics. This is how the Roman Republic fell. It was the lawfare by Senate insiders against Caesar that caused him to cross the Rubicon from Gaul to Rome. It led to civil war. It led to the fall of the Roman Republic. I'm not saying we're going into civil war, but they have crossed the Rubicon. These Biden Democrats have crossed the Rubicon with this unprecedented lawfare and election interference. They've indicted a former president, not only for the first time, but 4 times. They've sued him several times. They've tried to kick him off the ballot. They've illegally, unconstitutionally gagged him and threatened to throw him in jail if he points out evidence of bias, like Judge Juan Merchan's daughter, Lauren Merchan. this is unacceptable what they have done, and they need to understand that this is unacceptable. They need to pay a severe legal, financial, and political price for this come January 20th, 2025, so this never happens again.
You know what I think needs to happen, and perhaps this is in the works, and I just don't know about it, but like there are the lists going like Project 25 at 2025 at the Heritage Foundation to identify potential candidates for political appointments, right? And for key jobs in a future Republican administration. Should there not be some kind of list that on day one, once you get your people in place, that you say, okay, now these are the people we have to hold accountable, have the bios, have everything ready to go? Is there anything like that? Like Andrew Weissman
Maybe
would be at the top.
there might be a list, just maybe the Article 3 project's been keeping a list and checking it twice. So I think there might be a list.
That's what I kind of suspected. That's what I suspected. Good to see you, Mike Davis.